What's up, everybody? I actually just came off like about a 10, 11 hour workday today. It's way past my bedtime, but something happened really recently I just wanted to talk about. So, this video is not going to be all that slick or anything like all my other videos. Um, but it's just something, I don't know, just felt compelled to talk about. I was planning on going to sleep early today. I've got a bit of work tomorrow. It's not too much, but I don't know. I just couldn't sleep. I just felt like this was really important to talk about. So I was using this app called Hello Talk, and this is an app I really really love. Um, it's it's a great way to practice whatever language you're trying to learn, particularly if you can't find anybody nearby to help you out. And I'm not going to go into too much detail because this is not meant to be some kind of app review. Although I may want to do one of this particular app in the future. One of the features I love about this app is that you can type out pretty much anything you'd like in whatever language you're learning. And you can do it privately. You can do it like to one particular person, or more publicly, they have kind of like the equivalent of a Facebook timeline where everybody can see what you're typing. And anybody, but most importantly, native speakers can come in and actually correct any mistakes. So it's a great way to learn. So there was this one girl, and she's quite young, and I'm really impressed by her English, like particularly considering how young she is and like in what a short time she's been studying. And she wrote something, and there were a couple little grammatical mistakes, so I wrote my correction, and she wound up asking me if I could explain why she made a mistake. So I said, "Yeah, okay, yeah, it's a little complicated, so I'll just contact you privately." To make a long story short, at the end of it, she got quite frustrated. Um, she said something like, I don't know if I want to study anymore, thinking of giving up, that sort of thing. And it really got to me. And I was thinking about why. And I think it's because looking back on my career, um, the most regrettable thing I've seen, not in the sense that like I regret that I did something, but I saw it and I thought, that's really too bad. This is really such a waste of talent. Is people who had a knack for language. And as a side note, I'd like to throw in that I think almost everybody does. I think almost everybody has a knack for language. They just haven't realized where their particular knack is or what it is. Um, in previous videos, I've talked about how there are different kinds of learners. Some people are more analytical, some people are more intuitive, that sort of thing. And it's really just a matter of finding where your gift is and using that as kind of your core. I might talk about this more in the future. Let me get back to the topic here. So I've met so many students who very often for reasons of, I would almost say traumatic learning experiences that they might have had with other people, um, other classmates, maybe teachers, or just peers around them, have it ingrained in their head that they can't learn, and they seem unable to see any possibilities outside of this funnel, these kind of horse blinds they put on themselves. And as a teacher, someone who's experienced probably thousands of different individuals by now, who can recognize the talent, particularly when someone has a unique talent, just this uncanny ability to pick up certain things, say that they're not getting any better. Um, they're not where they should be. They're thinking to give up. It really breaks my heart. And yeah, I realize sometimes in these videos I make corny jokes and I kind of exaggerate and stuff, but I'm being 100% genuine when I say it breaks my heart to see that kind of talent wasted just because of the person's attitude or their expectations about where they're supposed to be. After this particular girl said that, um, I sat down and I thought about it for a bit, and I was thinking, even if you're not that great, maybe you're not like a genius or a polyglot yet. Um, maybe if you're not picking it up as fast as people around you, that sort of thing, it's still an absolutely wonderful thing that you're even trying, that you're getting better little by little. It's one thing if you walked into this language learning thing with the attitude of like, oh, this is going to be fun. Just have this little hobby. I'll just put this little audiobook, these headphones on 10 minutes a day, and voila, in 3 months I'm going to be fluent and, chatting with people about art in France and, uh, talking about politics in Russian and that sort of thing. Now, I can understand if that was your vision, if that was your image of what it's like to learn a language, and you realize just how deep and complex it actually is, you got disillusioned and you quit. That's fine. You wanted it to be one way and it was actually another way. It reminds me of those people who buy those, little vibrating machines they put in their stomach, and they keep eating junk food and drinking beer and watching TV, and 3 months later they're like, "Hey, how come I haven't lost any weight?" That was a little rude, sorry, but what I'm talking about is the people who have a genuine interest in learning a language and they genuinely work hard at it. They're consistent. Maybe they don't have a lot of time every day, but they're practicing, they're reading, they're using the language, they're asking questions consistently, and they get frustrated. And that's perfectly natural. You're not doing anything wrong if you get frustrated. That's totally natural. But to go from there to I want to quit, I want to give up, that's what makes me sad. That's what breaks my heart. And so I wanted to make this video to encourage you and to give you some specific reasons that kept me up tonight that I thought of, that it's fine to get frustrated, it's fine to take breaks, it's fine to slow down, but please don't give up. Let me go ahead and share with you some reasons why I don't want you to give up. Okay, the first reason is really simply that even though it may not feel like it, even though you may not be conscious of it, and even if you may actually feel as though you're getting worse, you're not. Regardless of what you're doing, your brain is working, your unconscious is working in ways that are building this skill. And you may not get the fruits of your labor immediately or even steadily, but they will come. You are getting better little by little. The second reason, kind of in conjunction with that, is that even if all you can do is like introduce yourself, say, hola, me llamo Brian, soy de Estados Unidos, you're saying a lot more than, well, depending on which language you're learning, millions or billions of people in the world. There are many people who are not bothering. There are many people who are giving up, and you are not. That puts you light years ahead of everyone else. And another thing you may not realize, particularly if you are studying on your own and or haven't had many chances to use the language, is just how appreciative people are that you bother at all. I can't count the times that people were intrigued, or as I said, appreciative, or even impressed that I had bothered to even learn just how to introduce myself in their language. Um, it's rare that somebody of a native speaker is going to make you feel bad for how limited your skills may be. And it's much, much more common that you get a positive response out of it, which in turn, motivates you and makes you more confident. And for the fourth reason, I'd actually like to share a little anecdote. Um, about 5 years ago, my wife, who at the time was a girlfriend, was living in Florida. And we had a long distance relationship, so I went down there to visit her once. And on the way back, I was in the airport and I had, several hours to kill before my flight got there. And I saw them, I don't know, maybe 10, 20 meters away, a Japanese family. And I've been in Japan long enough that even if I don't hear them talking, just by looking, watching their mannerisms and stuff, I have a pretty good sense of whether they're Japanese or, say, from another Asian country. And they were lost. Um, the kids were getting so restless and bored, it looked like they were gonna, like, I don't know, eat the suitcase or something. Uh, the parents were looking a little desperate. So I came up to them, and in Japanese, I asked them, "Are you okay? Are you lost?" And I will never forget the look of relief, coupled with shock, that somebody could actually speak their language in this airport, on their face. And it was really simple. They were just looking for a gate. And so I just walked them to the map, and I found the gate, and I told them really, really simply how to get there. And they said thank you, and that was it. They were on their way. It occurred to me, all it took was 5 or 6 sentences for me to completely alter their travel experience. And on the flight back home, I was thinking, like, it is possible that had I not been there, they would have missed their flight. And imagine the struggle they would have had to go to get another ticket, explain their situation, when they couldn't even ask somebody for directions in English. And I thought, I may have just completely changed their travel experience from a horrible one to a pleasant one. And again, all it took was those 6 sentences. Are you lost? Are you okay? Let me show you the map. You need to go here and turn left. You're welcome. That was it. I mean, how easy is that to pick up? And with that limited ability, you'd have the power to alter somebody's experience in another country. I think that's a pretty powerful thing. And the last reason I like to share with you, and it might sound like I'm off my gourd, but I don't think I am. And that's that quite simply, by learning another language, you are expressing compassion for your fellow man. And not just your fellow man, but your fellow man who many would consider an outsider, an other, somebody who's a member of the out group. By definition, a foreign language is a component of a foreign culture, and a foreign culture is something that's outside of your own. A foreign culture is something that may be perceived by maybe less enlightened people as worse, bad, strange, that sort of thing. And when you make the decision to learn a foreign language, particularly for the purposes of communicating with people who speak that language, what you're doing is you're accepting that culture, you're accepting those people, and to a degree, you're accepting the way of life. You are complicitly stating that I'm interested in things that go on beyond my immediate community. Um, I'm interested in people who are outside of my community. I'm open to them. Not only am I open to them, but I'm interested in engaging with them. You know, and this implies that you are willing to learn. You're willing to expand your own horizons, your own perspectives. And I think this is massive. I mean, by doing this, you are literally, metaphorically, but whatever, you know what I mean, creating the bond, that cohesive bond that is going to bring the world even closer together. When you endeavor to learn a foreign language, even if it's just really basic stuff, you know, learning the vocabulary, learning how to introduce yourself, learning phrases for travel, this is what you are creating. And it doesn't require any money. It doesn't require you joining some volunteer organization. It just requires you putting forth some consistent effort and taking the risks to go outside your comfort zone, to do something where you're going to make mistakes and maybe feel a little silly sometimes. But every time you do that, every time you pick up that book, and every time you um, try to understand that grammar point, every time you try to speak to a person who speaks a language you want to learn, that is what you are manifesting in the world. And I don't mean this necessarily in any kind of spiritual way. I mean this in a very concrete way, that every step you take towards that target language. You are developing and constructing a world in which people are getting closer together and connecting and understanding each other. And I don't know a stronger reason to learn a foreign language than that. If you can think of one, leave it in the comments, send me a message. But yeah, my very first video was on 7 reasons to learn a foreign language. And I acknowledge that it probably helps develop your intelligence and things like that. But I think it does so much more beyond that. So to me, this is absolutely the biggest reason to learn a foreign language. Anyway, I'll quit rambling now. And now that I've got that off my chest, maybe I can actually get back to bed and get some sleep. But this video is meant for anyone who is at any level who is feeling discouraged or feeling frustrated about a foreign language. I will go into this in more detail in the future, but it is really key to keep your goals in mind. If you can remember that you're not doing this necessarily to impress people. You're not doing this because you have to be a certain level. You're doing this because there's just an intrinsic desire in you to learn languages, or you're doing this because you want to be a part of a larger community or a new community, a new environment. You want to be exposed to new ideas. You're doing this because you want to connect to people, because you want to communicate with more people. You want to open your eyes and expand your horizons that much more. The frustrations and the setbacks and the plateaus are just so minuscule in comparison to these big goals, in comparison to all the benefits you're going to reap if you just don't quit. Again, I want to reiterate, slow down sometimes. If it's hard, if it's getting too much, take a break. That's absolutely fine. Just don't quit. Fall back off the horse, get back on. Yeah, so sorry this video was so long, but if it helps somebody out there, then I'm glad I made it. Good night, everybody. Take care.